What's going on, everybody? It is the one and only Q here from RetroQ Gaming, otherwise known as the Master of Restraint, because I am going to exercise the unbelievable amount of restraint that it will take me to get through this video without hurling an insult. But anyway, what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about some upcoming technology because, well, that's one of the main things I like to do. And of course, we all know there's different types of storage media, internal storage media in this case. We can talk of the incredibly decade, millennium old hard disk drive at this point, but well, we don't do that. So we're going to talk about solid state drives, something that's been around since around 2010 in the mainstream. Now, currently there's several different types. You've got M.2 drives, you've got the PCI-E, the regular PCI-E style version of them, the old ones. You've got even the SATA versions. But what we're going to do is we're going to look about some upcoming stuff because, well, it's pretty top of the line and cutting edge. So we're going to talk a little bit about something that was pretty much leaked today, if you will, by several different sources, and that is the upcoming Samsung 980 Pro SSD. Now this is important for a couple of different reasons, and of course we will all take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, because remember, it is technically just a leak for the moment. So apparently it's going to launch within the next 2 months, which means it's going to launch by the end of August. Well, depending on how you read it, but I'm going to extend it just for the sake of it, and we'll go with a launch at the end of August. Now, this was leaked by an account which has a very, very good track record on Samsung leaks, so it's kind of has a little bit of weight to it as well. And supposedly this lines up with some of the other inside sources and all that different technology websites have actually heard from other sources behind the scenes. Now, the key stuff to note about the 980 Pro SSD is that it is, of course, as you would expect, a PCIe 4.0 M.2 drive. Of course, why wouldn't it be? But the big important thing about this one, before we go any further, is it's likely a series because the 980 Pro will be a series, so there's no word on available capacities just yet. So we don't know if we're going to look at a 500 gig drive, an 825 gig drive, a 1 terabyte drive, a 2 terabyte drive. We don't know just yet, but the point is, well, you'll see now in just a second. So the big draw for this drive is the read-write speeds of this drive. Now, currently, the read-write speeds of this 980 Pro SSD will be 6,500 Mbps read speed, raw, uncompressed, and a write speed of 5,000 Mbps. Again, completely raw, no compression, no funky junky algorithms in order to try boost up the numbers and use compression and all that as well. Now, something that's very important to note about this drive and kind of the future of drives by the end of the year as well is that this particular drive uses the Phison E16 controller. Now, the important thing to note about this drive and this controller specifically is that this company, Phison, who later this year have the upcoming E18 controller, which will be available in subsequent SSDs, not just from Samsung, but other companies as well. And this is crazy when you think about it, because this new upcoming controller, the E18, is going to have better speeds, yet again, as you would expect. In fact, its speeds are so good, it comes extremely close to capping out what is capable through the PCIe 4.0 M.2 X4 drive interface. So that's pretty crazy, because that one is going to come out, the E18 drive, which will be available in drives later this year, at 7,000 Mbps raw uncompressed data. So this is going to be the top of the line when it comes to home PC drives. It will be faster than anything on the market, as you would expect when new technology comes out and it goes forward and all that. But this could give you the potential speeds that pretty much anything could ever use and ever require. In fact, both the 980 Pro SSD and anything that will use the upcoming E18 Phison controller will exceed the requirements of the PlayStation 5. Something that's touted as having a next-gen, top-of-the-line SSD, despite it not being available yet, and as we have already heard multiple times before, that companies will have drives that exceed the PlayStation 5 speed before the PlayStation 5 launches. But the big thing is that the 980 Pro should be compatible with the PlayStation. The only thing I could think of, maybe physical size limitations, but speed wise it exceeds the PlayStation 5. So naturally you should be able to buy one of these. I will never recommend it until we get 100% confirmation, but you should be able to buy one of these to use in the PlayStation 5. But more importantly, you can use this as your top-end, high-end gaming PC drive. Of course, until games move forward and kind of ditch all the old hard disk drive requirements and whatnot, and stop factoring in stuff like really, really low-end hardware, the Xbox One, the PS4, the Xbox One X, the PlayStation 4 Pro, until all that stuff is cut out completely, it's basically a moot point. While I don't have any M.2 drives myself, all my drives are SATA 3 SSDs, until I rebuild later this year of course. But everyone I know has said that they can't even tell the difference when loading anything, booting their computer, all of that stuff, between a regular SATA 3 SSD and their PCIe drives. Why? Because the stuff isn't coded to take advantage of it just yet. Gonna be pretty cool going forward, but as I have logically and factually mentioned multiple times in the past, well, PlayStation fanboys, what about that SSD though? Sorry guys, I just couldn't help it.